With egg prices at record highs, why isn't the U.S. using a bird flu vaccine in poultry? Egg prices are out of control again, but what if I told you there's a solution the U.S. refuses to use? Yes, a bird flu vaccine exists right now, and other countries are using it to get ahead of the crisis. So why are we still paying the price for decisions made behind closed doors? The answers will surprise you and maybe even frustrate you. Let's dive in. Eggs, once the most affordable protein in your grocery cart, have become an unexpected luxury for many households. Prices have skyrocketed, leaving millions scrambling to adjust their food budgets. For context, in just 1 year, we've seen egg costs more than double in many areas, crippling family finances for something as simple as a carton of eggs. What's behind this chaos? It's not just inflation. The real culprit is a devastating bird flu outbreak sweeping across the country. Farms have been ravaged, production has plummeted, and the result? Scarce supplies and soaring costs. But here's the real kicker. A solution is sitting right in front of us, unused. Imagine suffering through this mess when we already have a tool to fix it. Let's talk about why we're not using the bird flu vaccine. Before we dissect the vaccine debate, let's quickly understand the disease at the heart of this problem. Avian influenza, or bird flu, is a highly contagious virus that spreads rapidly among poultry, killing millions of chickens and turkeys in its wake. It poses zero risk to the eggs on your kitchen table, but here's the dilemma. Once the virus spreads through a flock, farms have no choice but to cull tens of thousands of birds. Entire communities are wiped out overnight. This isn't just a sad story for farmers, it's catastrophic. Even a single outbreak can decimate local poultry supplies, pushing retail egg prices higher. This situation is no accident, it's a recurring nightmare. The U.S. has experienced wave after wave of bird flu outbreaks over the years, and yet the response remains shockingly inadequate. Here's where it gets infuriating. A vaccine exists that can prevent large-scale devastation caused by bird flu. In fact, countries like China and Mexico are already rolling out vaccination programs to protect their poultry industries. Their approach is working. Mass culling has been significantly reduced, and their consumers aren't facing the same egg price chaos we are. So you're probably asking, if the U.S. has access to this vaccine, why aren't we using it? What's the holdup? Now we're getting to the heart of the issue, and it all boils down to politics, economics, and honestly, corporate interests. There are 3 core reasons why the U.S. refuses to vaccinate its poultry, despite facing one of the worst bird flu outbreaks in history. Reason number 1, fear of trade restrictions. The U.S. poultry industry relies heavily on exports, with popular trading partners like the European Union, China, and others. These countries often impose strict bans on poultry from vaccinated birds, citing concerns about detecting infections post-vaccination. In short, they want proof that no illnesses are present in imported meat or eggs, and vaccinated birds make that harder to guarantee. U.S. officials argue adopting vaccines could lead to severe trade penalties, damaging an export business worth over $6 billion annually. Here's the question, though. Should we really prioritize overseas trade partners while American consumers foot the bill? Reason number 2, concerns about vaccine efficacy. Some experts claim vaccines for bird flu aren't perfect. While they significantly reduce outbreaks, they don't eliminate the virus completely, and that means vaccinated flocks could theoretically still carry and spread the disease. Is this concern valid? Partially. No vaccine provides 100% immunity, but even reducing outbreaks by 50% would spare millions of birds, protect farmers' livelihoods, and stabilize our supply chain. It's a trade-off worth considering. Reason number 3, the logistics of vaccination. Vaccinating poultry on a massive scale isn't easy. Imagine trying to distribute and administer millions, if not billions, of doses annually across an industry where speed and cost-effectiveness are critical. The logistics are daunting, but is that an excuse to do nothing? If other countries can pull it off, why can't the U.S.? Here's the reality of this crisis. Consumers and farmers are bearing the full burden of inaction. The economy may be booming for exporters clinging to non-vaccine policies, but for the average American family, the cost of scrambling to buy eggs is unsustainable. It's not just families paying the price. Imagine the heartbreak of being a poultry farmer forced to cull your flock, tens of thousands of healthy birds gone in an instant to prevent a virus from spreading. Imagine starting over again and again, knowing there's a potential solution, but being told it's too risky to use. This isn't fair to farmers, it's not fair to consumers, and it's time we ask whether the U.S. government's priorities are truly serving the people. Instead of speculating, we can simply look at how other countries are addressing bird flu. China, for example, isn't hitting pause on vaccines to protect export agreements. They're rolling out large-scale vaccination campaigns, showing that it's possible to reduce the virus's deadly spread while keeping their domestic economy stable. Similarly, Mexico has begun putting vaccination programs into place after facing repeated outbreaks, and while there are hurdles, their progress underscores that the U.S. stance isn't the only viable one. If these countries can navigate the complexities of exporting meat and eggs while taking steps to protect their citizens, why hasn't the U.S. invested more seriously in these types of solutions? Maybe it's time to loosen the grip of corporate interests and global trade politics and focus on the people who are struggling within our own borders. Let's address the skeptics. Is bird flu vaccination really practical in a country as vast and poultry-reliant as the U.S.? The short answer is yes, but it requires bold leadership and focused initiatives. Mass vaccination would come with significant upfront costs and challenges, coordinating distribution, ensuring proper administration, and even convincing farmers of the vaccine's benefits. But the rewards? Stability in egg production, fewer financial hits for farmers, and most importantly, affordable grocery bills for families across the country. Sure, changing systems is hard, but doing nothing and continuing to let bird flu destroy livelihoods isn't working either. By now, it's clear that the real crisis isn't just bird flu. It's the barriers we've put up around a possible solution. The U.S. government, corporate lobbyists, and exporters have drawn a line in the sand, prioritizing trade policies and the status quo over consumer protection. But food prices don't just affect wallets, they affect lives. Millions of Americans are already cutting back on essentials due to inflation. What happens when eggs, one of the most basic, versatile, inexpensive food staples, becomes yet another item people can barely afford? Here's the takeaway. The bird flu vaccine is not a magic fix, but it's a start. It's one step the U.S. could take to reduce the catastrophic effects of outbreaks and deflate egg prices, giving families and farmers a break. So why aren't we doing it? And more importantly, how long will we keep paying the price for government inaction? As consumers, we need to ask the hard questions. Who benefits from these policies? Who loses? And what alternatives exist to safeguard our food supply? Change doesn't happen unless we demand it. If this issue frustrates you as it should, share this video, talk about the vaccine gaps, and let others know the truth about why your carton of eggs costs as much as it does today. The bird flu vaccine debate is bigger than poultry. It's a lesson in how public policy shapes private lives, and unless we start holding decision-makers accountable, we'll find ourselves trapped in this cycle, paying the real price for problems that have solutions. For the sake of consumers, farmers, and the future of affordable food, isn't it time we rethink the bird flu vaccine?